Kevin Stefanski lied. He lied to us all when he said that this was going to be an open competition, a four-man open competition when it comes to the QB situation up there in Cleveland, in which, from the looks of it, all we've seen it be was a three-man race. The only people that has been getting reps in with the first team or with the veterans are Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel. We've never seen my boy Shedeur Sanders get a chance to get in. Even with him doing the things that he has been doing up there, he has yet to get in with the first team.
Shedeur Sanders just got hit harder than a QB meeting a linebacker on a blind date. Word is, Coach Kevin dropped a bombshell comment that's got everyone whispering about a possible new quarterback. Did he lose confidence in Shedeur or just snap under pressure? Either way, Shedeur's now watching his back for more than just defenders. This twist feels like a betrayal straight out of a mic'd-up sideline meltdown. Grab your popcorn, this drama's heating up fast.
It's got a couple of different things involving the Browns. We got an analyst that says that Shedeur Sanders should have some kind of a ban, banishment of some kind. Come again? Say what? For what? And we've got, this would be more troubling. If I'm a Browns fan, and this is where we're going to start, potential dissension in the ranks of the front office and the coach. And over what? Quarterback.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think. What do you do when your golden boy, the crowned prince of primetime, suddenly becomes the subject of sideline shade and secret quarterback auditions? You call it what it is, betrayal. And not just your average locker room drama. This is full-on Game of Thrones, backstab your own blood type betrayal. The kind that leaves trust shattered, alliances shaken, and everyone wondering if the chosen one just got quietly pushed off the throne. Shedeur Sanders, the QB who brought Colorado back into the spotlight with his talent, swagger, and, let's face it, that legendary last name, just got served a reality check. Don't get too comfortable. Word is Coach Kevin, the assistant coach, supposedly in Shedeur's corner, dropped a comment so bold it left fans, analysts, and maybe even Deion Sanders doing a double take. It wasn't just shade, it was a shot, and now the spotlight might be burning hotter than ever.
People in the NFL that have lied to us about Shedeur. Why do people continue lying to us about Shedeur? Because I could make the case that Kevin Stefanski lied to us about Shedeur. He said it was a four-man competition. He is the only one, Shedeur Sanders is the only one not to get a first-team rep in OTAs. So why are they lying to us about Shedeur? Is it because potential blowback? Because, hey, if you don't give Shedeur a start, we're gonna riot, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that? I'm just trying to understand why no one can keep it real about Shedeur, because everyone has lied to us.
This wasn't a slip of the tongue. It wasn't some offhand remark taken out of context. No, this was deliberate. A calculated move, like a warning shot in a chess game. Careful, King. We've got our eye on the rook. Let's rewind. Shedeur Sanders didn't inherit a dream team last season. He took hit after hit behind a crumbling O-line. At one point, Colorado could have named a defensive end their MVP, based solely on how often Shedeur got sacked. And now the whispers are starting to sound a lot like plans.
I'm happy to say I told you so. I told you so about Coach Kevin Stefanski. I told you so about Shedeur's situation with the Cleveland Browns. I told you everything I said. So you guys all fell in love because Cleveland Browns saved Shedeur Sanders. He needed help, according to alleged meth head Mary Kay and many others. You guys should be thankful the Browns saved Shedeur. You should adore us, man.
He had to scramble behind a paper-thin offensive line while still delivering jaw-dropping passes and clutch plays. At times, he looked like a one-man army dragging a dysfunctional team across the finish line. Yet through it all, he didn't complain. He didn't bail. He didn't pull the diva card, which he could have easily played. Let's not forget, this guy could have transferred somewhere cushier, somewhere with better protection and less media circus, open. As if Shedeur hasn't been out here carrying the team on his shoulders while dodging edge rushers like he's in a Mission Impossible reboot. As if he's just another guy on the depth chart battling it out with walk-ons and freshmen who still can't remember the snap count. And let's not act like this is some normal coach speak. There's coach speak, and then there's sabotage in a polo shirt. This wasn't about healthy competition. This wasn't about pushing players to excel. This was about planting seeds. Seeds of doubt. Seeds that grow into full-blown rumors about Colorado, sniffing around the transfer portal like a quarterback-hungry detective on a caffeine bender.
Like in having a conversation with a buddy, could I possibly go to bat for Kevin Stefanski as a great head coach? No, I couldn't.
Could you go at bat against him, saying he's a horrible head coach?
No, I can't. I think that's why we fall in the middle. I think that's why in a lot of these discussions, and that's why a lot of the rankings, you see him right now in that 15 to 20 range, somewhere in that middle pack of NFL head coaches.
I've said earlier, Kevin Stefanski has already been given more head coaches than any coach I've ever seen in Cleveland. Starting with the decision to move on from Baker and him clearly still having another level to get to in Tampa.
So now the chatter begins. Is Colorado actually looking for a new QB? Are they planning for life after Shedeur before he's even gone? Is Coach Kevin playing four-dimensional chess or just fumbling a very expensive bag? Let's do some basic math here. Shedeur is a top prospect with NFL dreams. He's Deion's son. He's the face of the team. The guy whose highlights fill every social media reel, whose jerseys are probably outselling the team's win count. And now, apparently he has to prove himself. Again, you can almost hear the dramatic music playing behind the scenes. Because this isn't just football politics, this is family drama with yard markers. It's not just Coach Kevin sending a message to his QB, he's sending one to Deion too. And that message sounds a lot like, we're ready to move on no matter who you are. Imagine being Shedeur, sitting in meetings, watching film, knowing your own coach is flirting with the idea of a new quarterback. So what's the motive here? Is this an attempt to light a fire under Shedeur? To toughen him up for the big leagues? Because newsflash, the guy already took more hits than a piñata at a kindergarten birthday party. He's proven, he's battle-tested. The last thing he needs is a passive-aggressive motivational speech disguised as QB roulette. Or maybe this is deeper. Maybe Coach Kevin wants a different style of quarterback. Someone more mobile, less flashy, more system-oriented.
Look, I'm sorry, but when it comes to quarterback, I'm going to defer to my head coach. Generally speaking, especially one with Stefanski's track record and how he's viewed across the league. So this is interesting because it tells you Kevin Stefanski's not a Shedeur Sanders guy. And it also tells us who made these picks. Exactly. The Cleveland Browns made a rather awkward decision in the NFL draft, opting to take quarterback Dylan Gabriel in the third round, well before he was expected to fly off the board. Then 2 rounds later, the Browns took fellow quarterback Shedeur Sanders. So what exactly is going on?
But here's the kicker. The whole Colorado football program is the Sanders brand right now. Remove Shedeur, and you're not just switching quarterbacks, you're ripping out the heart of the show. Because like it or not, this isn't just a team, it's a production. And Shedeur is both the leading man and executive producer. So what does the locker room think? Oh, you better believe they're watching. When your top guy gets publicly doubted, it sends shockwaves. Morale takes a hit. Players start wondering who's next. If Shedeur isn't safe, no one is. And for a team already juggling egos, cameras, and expectations, that's the kind of chaos that can unravel everything. Meanwhile, the transfer portal buzz is getting louder. Allegedly, Coach Kevin has been window shopping for QBs like it's Black Friday. Dual threat guys, system first guys. Guys who don't come with a VIP pass to every media event. In other words, not Shedeur. It's ironic. The guy who put Colorado back on ESPN now might be the one quietly shown the exit. Not because he failed, but because he succeeded too loudly.
I think a lot of people do have this kind of shrug emoji with Kevin Stefanski right now. I think there's a lot of people in the national media that favor Stefanski, as we talked about. And I think there are people on the complete other side of that as well, the way you'd find it in the other side of anything. But I think a lot of Browns fans right at this point, hey, show us that you can be something more than what we currently think you are. We're giving you that opportunity. You have 4 different quarterbacks to try to figure it all out. Show us something. But right now, I'm very close to Switzerland, and I'm very close to where I feel like you are as well, where it's more of a shrug emoji than it is anything. Like in having a conversation with
But let's talk strategy. If Coach Kevin really is angling for a new QB, what's the end game? Because it's not like Colorado has a stable full of Heisman hopefuls waiting in the wings. You don't bench your star for a science experiment unless you're actively trying to tank your credibility. And don't forget the NFL timeline. Shedeur could declare for the draft next year. Maybe Coach Kevin is just trying to get ahead of the curve, prepping the next man up. But if that's the case, why make it so public? Why not develop quietly behind the scenes instead of airing out QB politics like laundry on a windy day? Maybe because this isn't about development, it's about power, about sending a message that no one's untouchable, not even the coach's kid. It's a flex, a risky, possibly self-destructive flex. And now, all eyes are on Shedeur. How does he respond? He's not the type to run to Twitter with cryptic emojis. He'll probably do what he always does: grind, work, perform. But don't be surprised if his throws get sharper, his interviews colder, and his patience thinner. Because when you go from cornerstone to question mark, something shifts. That chip on his shoulder just got an upgrade. And while Coach Kevin might think he's playing mind games, he might have just created a monster QB with something to prove and receipts to collect. And what about Dion?
Shedeur is going to make it at this level, and I think he has a legitimate chance of being the Browns starting quarterback if they give him the right opportunities and they have the right people in place to help him take his game to that next level, develop correctly, because there is a developmental piece of this. Like, there's been plenty of prospects we thought were sure things in the NFL, and I don't think Shedeur is even, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Shedeur is a sure thing, because sure things do go in the first round, and he didn't. I'm not saying he can't be great, but like there's flaws to a lot of these prospects coming, like, and even in this class alone, there was very few prospects that you were like, this guy's a blue chipper. There was only a few guys that we called blue chip prospects in this draft.
Let's not pretend Primetime isn't watching this whole thing like a hawk in designer sunglasses. Coach Kevin didn't just stir the pot, he flipped the whole table. And depending on how this shakes out, we could be witnessing a full-on power struggle behind the scenes. Because this isn't just coaching, this is dynasty management. Dion built this empire, and Shedeur is the heir. Coach Kevin, intentionally or not, just challenged the throne, and make no mistake, the fan base knows it. Social media has already picked sides. Team Shedeur, Team Coach Kevin, Team why are we sabotaging our only functional offensive weapon? It's like a soap opera, except with more cleats and fewer commercial breaks. So what happens next? Does Coach Kevin walk it back? Issue a clarification about the comment? Pretend it was motivational mumbo-jumbo? Or does he double down, bring in another QB, and let the drama fester until it erupts in a full-blown QB controversy? Whatever the move, one thing is clear. The damage is done. The betrayal has been broadcast. And Shedeur Sanders just went from team leader to storyline. And that storyline? It's about to get wild. And just when you thought the Colorado QB drama couldn't spiral any further into daytime soap opera territory, enter the new QB rumors, hotter than a TikTok comment section and twice as petty. Yes, whispers are swirling like Coach Kevin's playbook in a wind tunnel.
The insiders, the ESPNs, the Fox News are starting to get their hands on the stories. And you know they got a lot more connects and behind the scenes people than you can ever imagine. And Colin Cowherd put something out. Another analyst had put some things out that they've been hearing. And it's looking like Shedeur Sanders is way past Dylan Gabriel from what they were saying. And the fact of, if you go through the history of the owner, Haslam, it's a great opportunity for Shedeur Sanders, and most likely...
Apparently, he's been sniffing around the transfer portal like a raccoon near a trash can buffet. Reports, uncorroborated, unconfirmed, and yet somehow very real in the court of public opinion, suggest he's eyeing a dual-threat QB, possibly from a mid-major program, maybe even a JUCO kid with raw talent and a chip on his shoulder the size of Coach Prime's sunglasses. Let's break this down. You don't just casually browse the QB aisle like you're shopping for protein powder. You do it when you're looking for a change. This isn't window shopping. It's more like measuring the living room for a new couch while your current one is still in the house. It sends one clear message. Shedeur's job isn't safe. Now imagine being Shedeur, scrolling your phone after practice, seeing Colorado interested in transfer QB trending, and realizing they're not talking about someone to carry your pads. That's not just unsettling, It's locker room chaos waiting to happen. How do you build chemistry when QB1 is looking over his shoulder and QB2 smells blood in the water? Add a sprinkle of social media speculation and a dash of anonymous team source gossip, and you've got a quarterback room tenser than a last-second Hail Mary.
Cleveland talk show host Garrett Bush hinted at what he thinks may be behind all of this in a recent episode of The Barbershop, stating he feels head coach Kevin Stefanski specifically wanted to develop Dillon Gabriel, while general manager Andrew Berry may be hoping to punt to 2026 to find an answer under the center. That's not great, because nowhere in that sentence or in that paragraph involving Andrew Berry or Stefanski is Shedeur Sanders even brought up. Quote, I think Kevin Stefanski picked Dillon Gabriel. There you go, Bush said. So now guess what? You're at a standstill, so to speak, right? Because now all of a sudden Andrew Berry is banking on the fact that, quote, we're not going to be good next year. I'm trading these picks and I'm going to go get me Arch Manning. That's my move. Then Kevin Stefanski's like, I'm going to go get my own quarterback.
This move could fracture the team faster than a fourth quarter meltdown. The locker room isn't just a collection of cleats and Gatorade bottles, it's a living organism, and when you threaten its heartbeat, the body starts twitching. Shedeur isn't just a player, he's a symbol. You mess with that, you're not just subbing out a quarterback, you're pulling the pin on a cultural grenade. So now the million-dollar question, how does Shedeur respond? Easy. Not online. Shedeur doesn't do Twitter rants or dramatic Instagram lives with captions like, loyalty ain't what it used to be. He responds with touchdown passes and scoreboard statements. And those dreams don't include playing second fiddle to some fast-talking JUCO sensation who just showed up with frosted tips and a Hoodle mixtape. If Shedeur gets the sense that Colorado's staff is auditioning his replacement, he might not even wait to finish the act. An early NFL declaration would feel less like a decision and more like a mic drop. But this drama doesn't just stop at Shedeur. It boomerangs straight to his dad, Coach Deion Sanders. Now we're cooking with conflict.
The truth, if come training camp Shedeur is getting first team reps,
there we go.
You good. But to this point, I'm like, if it is going to be open comp, I do want Shedeur to get some first team reps, because I don't want it to be an open competition. But then Dillon Gabriel getting the first team reps, but Shedeur ain't getting no first team reps. Like, don't play in my face. And I felt like that's what happened a lot to me, James, during the draft process. It's like, y'all were playing in our face. It's the middle of the draft. Jerry, at minimum, you need a backup quarterback, because Cooper Rush has gone to the Baltimore Ravens. At minimum, you need a backup. You gonna tell us during the third round that Shedeur did everything right during the draft process? We know you need a backup. Mike Tomlin, you need a quarterback. Forget a backup.
Because Deion isn't just the head coach. He's also the father of the man being publicly slighted. That's like being the judge in a trial where your kid is the defendant and the prosecutor. Do you back your son and risk undermining your coaching staff? Or do you support Coach Kevin's competition builds greatness strategy and risk dinner getting real quiet at home? This situation puts Prime in the ultimate no-win scenario. If he defends Shedeur, the staff looks divided. If he backs Coach Kevin, the world asks why a father wouldn't protect his son. You don't have a program, you have a family-run football empire. And when the heir to the throne is suddenly the subject of maybe we bench him speculation, that empire starts to wobble. Casual recruits watching this unfold aren't just seeing a QB battle, they're seeing instability. And for teenage 5 stars with $1 million NIL deal on the line, instability might as well be spelled, next school please. Why commit to a program where even the coach's son isn't safe? If they'll bench him, what happens to me after one bad game? Internally, it's a morale nuke. Players follow Shedeur not just because he throws a pretty spiral, but because he's a leader. He's been in the trenches, taken more hits than a piñata at a toddler's birthday, and kept showing up. You shake his standing and suddenly the foundation under the whole roster starts cracking. D-linemen lose focus. WRs wonder who's throwing them the ball next week. Chemistry turns to confusion, and confusion, that's how you lose to teams you were supposed to steamroll. But brands are fragile. You start looking like a dysfunctional reality show instead of a rising football powerhouse, and that shine fades fast. The hype train derails, and the Sanders effect turns into the Sanders drama.